we go. That's much better. Hey folks, welcome back to the garage. I hope y'all are having a great day. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how I changed the oil in my wife's 2016 Mazda CX-5. I'm going to show you the tools I use and also the oil and filter that I decided to put back on this car. So without further ado, let's get into it. Here's a rundown of the tools that I'm going to use to do this oil change. I've got my oil pan. I've got just a couple simple tools here. I've got a Phillips flathead screwdriver, oil filter wrench. I've got my half-inch drive here. I'm sorry, 3/8" drive with a 17mm socket on it for the oil pan bolt. I've got my floor jack, 2 jack stands, and then of course the motor oil and filter. Now I'm going to use Mobil 1 high mileage advanced full synthetic 0W20 oil, as well as a Mobil 1 extended performance oil filter. This is the M1-108A oil filter, and right there on the package it says it protects up to 1 year or 20,000 miles. Alright, so to get this Mazda jacked up off the ground, what you want to look for is the front cross member, and it's a piece of flat metal. It's probably, I don't know, maybe 6 by 8 in dimension, and it's got dimples on the cross member. So that's where you're going to want to jack from. Alright, then once you have your car jacked up high enough, you want to come to the front here and look for this pinch weld. That's where you're going to put your jack stand. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. And then just let the car down slowly onto the jack stands. Pull your jack out of the way. Now you're all set to start draining the oil. Alright, now that we're underneath the car, we want to remove this access panel. This is where your oil filter and your drain plug are located. Hold on, buddy. Alright, and there we go. And so you're okay, hold on. Okay. Alright, so once we get that access panel off, your oil filter is here, and then your drain plug is just right at the back of the oil pan. And this is going to take, I believe, and I'll confirm in just a second, either a 6 or 8mm socket to get out, or 8mm Allen wrench, excuse me, to take out. Earlier I said it was a 17mm bolt. I was mistaken. This is an Allen wrench that you need to take that out with. Get this Allen plug taken out here. Oh, and this is an 8mm Allen wrench. Alright, so this oil filter wasn't actually on that tight, so I was able to just spin it off by hand without using my oil wrench. So I just cracked that open a couple turns there, and we'll let it drain out a little bit. Try and reduce the chances of making a bigger mess. Just going to go ahead and unscrew this oil filter all the way and dump it right in the drain pan. Alright, and once this oil is mostly drained out, I'm just going to take the plug and put it back in. Clean up around that drain hole. And then tighten it up. Then I'm just going to take my rag and clean off the mating surface where the oil filter meets. And before I put the new filter on, I always put just a light coating of oil right around the gasket, just to make sure I get a good seal. So then just screw the filter on, and be sure to read the manufacturer's recommended torque spec, if you want to call it a torque spec. This one looks like spin it on until the gasket surface touches, and then spin it another 3/4 of a turn. Alright, so that's touching there. Just give it about a 3/4 turn. There. Now we're all done with that. Just get the access cover put back on here, and then we'll be all ready to fill it up. Just a quick tip here, before you go lower your car all the way down, be sure to look around, make sure you haven't left any tools, make sure there's no cables or wires or anything that you don't want the car to fall on. Alright, so I have here my 2016 owner's manual, and I just wanted to show you the manufacturer's recommended oil change maintenance interval. So I apologize if you can't read this too well, but over here on page 6-4 it says engine oil flexible maintenance is available for USA residents whose vehicles operate mainly where none of the following conditions apply: extended periods of idling, low-speed operations such as police car, taxi, or driving a school bus, or in dusty conditions. So none of those conditions apply to our driving conditions, so we're going to follow Schedule 1. All right, look right here at the oil and filter, and the manufacturer recommends replacing when the wrench indicator light is on, or a max interval of 12 months or 10,000 miles. And just a note here on oil capacity. For the 2.5 liter motor, which is what I have in my car, with an oil filter replacement, manufacturer calls for 4.8 quarts, or 4.5 liters. Without oil filter, you're looking at 4.5 quarts. So since we're doing an oil change with a filter, I'm going to put back 4.8 quarts of oil. Alright, so to fill your oil back up, just remove the cap that's on the top of the engine. Get you a nice funnel here. And again, I'm using this Mobil 1 high mileage full synthetic. Now I only have about 40,000 miles on this car, but truth be told, this was the actual only Mobil 1 full synthetic that they had on the shelf. Now, as we just said, this car is going to take 4.8 quarts because we're doing a full oil change and filter. This is a 5-quart jug, so I'll just pour most of all of this back into the engine. Alright guys, so the last thing we're going to do is we're going to reset the oil maintenance light for the car. So you just go to applications, go down to maintenance, go to oil change. We're on flexible, that's what we talked about earlier. Now as you can tell, it says I've got 40% oil life left with about 8,000 miles, but I'm just going to go down here to reset. Are you sure you want to reset? Yes. And then the little check engine light flashes down there, and we're back at 100%. Alright folks, so that's going to do it on this oil change for my 2016 Mazda CX-5. I hope this video has been helpful to you. If it has, please be sure to hit that thumbs up button. And if you hadn't done so already, please consider hitting that subscribe button. I've got other videos on the channel that I think might be of some value to you. So again, thanks for stopping by. I hope this video has been helpful to you, and I'll see you on the next one.